Welcome to the Tech Matchmaker, the show where contact center challenges meet their perfect tech match. I'm your host, Gina Gibson, and in just 15 minutes, we serve up the smartest, coolest innovations shaking up the contact center industry. Whether you're searching for your next solution or just love staying ahead of the curve, we've got the insights to keep you in the know. Let's dive in and discover what's next. I promise you, it's going to be fun. Hi, everybody. Today we are chatting with Luc Dallaire, the VP of Global Sales from Zenarate, about AI simulation training and coaching. So, Luc, it's so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me. It's always great to catch up with you, Gina.
Absolutely. And so, Luc, let's start with the basics. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
About myself, oh gosh, I mean, what do you want to know? I was, I was born. No, I mean, I grew up actually in sort of the contact center space for a large portion of my career. I was an agent a long time ago. I, did a bunch of different roles, but I've led, global workforce management strategy and forecasting. I've launched some really large enterprise initiatives, transformation initiatives in the contact center space. I did a stint for a few years at a healthcare company where I built laboratories and led some other cool projects. So pretty multifaceted, but I've sort of been in the sort of frontline service and or support space, either directly or tangentially for the most of my better part of my career until I joined Bright, and then now obviously with Zenarate with the merger.
Excellent. And we always like to ask everybody, what's one thing about you, Luc, that we might not find on LinkedIn?
That's a good question. I don't even remember what's on my LinkedIn. Um, um, I am a huge finance nerd. Like I love to read books about like macroeconomics and like investment strategies and things. And so I don't, I guess it certainly serves me in my job at this point, but ever since I was a kid, I started a lawn mowing business when I was a kid, and I had like a P&L statement already written when I was 12, that kind of thing. So I've always been kind of this entrepreneurial nerd, and I've always been very numbers driven and numbers focused. So it's a Excel is my favorite toy. Maybe that I don't think I have that on LinkedIn, but there's your sneak peek.
I love it. And you mentioned Bright, and we know Bright's a training platform. So tell us, what is Zenarate? For those that haven't heard about Zenarate before, what do you do?
Yeah, so Bright and Zenarate merged back in August of last year. So there's the connection there. But Zenarate is, we're the global leader in frontline performance, largely driven by practice. Right, we deliver practice at scale through AI simulations and automated coaching. So I mean, there's a whole lot I could talk to you, for hours on that, but fundamentally that challenge exists pretty globally, where people onboard and try to learn how to do skills, but there's not a lot of practice that can be delivered because it's not really a scalable thing in today's world. That's what we did. So we were the original AI coach at Zenarate way back in 2016. And since then, I've been working with global brands all over the place and in just about every industry and use case you can think of, really driving practice at scale through our learning platform.
And tell me, Luc, why is simulation-based training so much more effective than basic instructor-led or CBTs or e-learning or that kind of thing? Why is it so much more effective?
Yeah, I will. So my background is in psychology and like neuroscience. So I will try not to get super nerdy, but fundamentally the version of you that practices is better than the version of you that didn't. Right. So if I want to, you can see I've got a guitar back here. Right. I definitely watched like YouTube videos and sort of really tried to figure out how that works. But it was not, I couldn't pick up a guitar and immediately know how to play. I had to practice. My fingers had to get used to what they had to do. Sports, music, a super common thing is, the flight simulator, right? Like that's a very common example. But we don't have that concept in sort of corporate L&D. It's a lot of e-learnings and, like you said, classroom-based training, very traditional in nature. And that's great for the first part of human learning, right? When you're learning something, you do have to get information. You have to learn, and that's awesome. But that's where we typically stop. There's the learn, the see, and the do portion of what you actually need to drive skill. We usually stop traditionally here, but we need to see it in context, right? We need to watch like a tutorial, we need to actually see it happen, and then we need to practice and practice at tremendous scale. We need to do it over and over again and do what's called spaced repetition or iterative practice. Doing it one time doesn't make you good. Doing it a bunch of time lets you figure out all the kinks. You've heard of muscle memory. Muscle
Mhm.
memory actually isn't anything to do with your muscles. It's just neural pathways in your brain. And that is the same for talking about a sales product or processing a Salesforce transaction on your system or screen or what have you. So AI-based simulation allows you to do that at scale in a controlled environment where you're not actually messing up a client's record if you mess up, or you're not, falling on your face in front of a customer if you're having an interaction with a fake customer. But you're learning how to do all of that so that when you do go and actually represent your brand in whatever your job skill is, you're actually already good at that skill by having practiced tremendously through simulation.
Well, and I would imagine too the confidence, like the employee experience going onto the phone, the nerves wouldn't be there, right? Like their confidence must be increased at that point as well.
We had one of my favorite quotes to date was like one of the earliest quotes we ever got from a customer from one of their like learners that went through one of their employees. They said, I've worked at a lot of big companies and no one has ever invested in me the way that you guys just did. Because to your point, when you're delivering practice, no one wants to go to work. Like, do you want to go to work and be bad? No. Like you would like to, like, you want to be good. You want to feel confident. You want to feel competent at what you're doing. And the only way to really do that is by delivering practice to the point where people go, yeah, I got good at the thing because I did it a lot. And so to your point, business case, right? That drives attrition improvements, that drives tremendous speed to proficiency. There's so many metrics we could talk about, but fundamentally, that employee is much better served. And then at the end of the day, that employee is better to able to better serve the customer of our customers, right? So like they're driving customer experience through enabling and optimizing their talent.
Absolutely. And you started to kind of talk about metrics. Let's talk about some of your success stories and maybe where they started. I know in some of our shared customers, the training started at 3 weeks or whatever, ended up being 6 days and those kinds of things. Talk about some of those success stories, Luke.
Oh man, so we have a lot. I guess I'll give you a few examples. I mean, so yes, so training time reduction is definitely a thing, right? We have a large lawn care provider that everybody would know who they are. They were at 4 weeks of training. They're down to a week and a half or so, and even with that much less training, their performance is better, right? Their sales closure is higher. Their attrition is dramatically reduced. Their NPS scores have gone up. And they've saved millions of dollars in labor costs because now they're not spending all that time in unproductive nature, right? They're actually getting them productive and generating revenue sooner. Um, we've got healthcare companies that have record first call resolution from their new hires coming out of training. We've got, actually to sort of come out of the contact center a bit, because we talk a lot about contact center. It's super easy and bread and butter, but that same lawn care company reduced accidents and injuries in the field because we focused on, there was an element that focused on safety for their technicians that go out there and support their customers. We've got doctors and nurses that are certifying on patient experience frameworks from other sort of healthcare organizations, as well as tons of contact center use case. I could drop so many metrics, but there's a few examples. I mean, you get cost reduction and P&L impact, but you do see tremendous performance improvement at the same time.
Well, and I love that you took it outside of the contact center. Like I never would have thought of using simulation-based training that would improve safety out in the
Yeah.
field. So that's
Yeah,
incredible.
think about, I'm a satellite dish installer, right? Am I going to teach you how to turn the wrench? Like, no, right? We can't do that in a computer. But can I sort of make sure you know the protocols and the procedures you need to do when you're up there and start giving you images that makes you analyze and say, yeah, where is the installation gone wrong here? Now I'm actually practicing all of that analytical capability so that when I go up on a roof for the first time, I've done this a number of times. Very different use case than a contact center, but same concept, right? You're prepping people with scenario-based experiences that makes you do the job. You don't just
Yeah.
answer a question. That's the key, right? You're not just I don't have a customer that calls me that I have bubbles above my head that says, which of these four answers do I need to say? I have to give the response or make the decision or run the analysis and do the thing. And we happen to have an amazing solution where we have AI that can score and coach and rate you in the moment to actually provide that feedback at scale.
Yeah, and what I love then is literally it's taking all verticals and all different use cases out
Yeah,
of the picture, right? Like you can help everybody and anybody that could be listening to this.
that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
I was gonna ask if there was any surprising ways that your customers have used your tool, but I think you've just kind of highlighted that with with the installation people. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, uh, bank tellers. Actually, there's one that I really like. So there's a financial institution where they have their ATMs are actually like video screens where the
Hmm.
actual agent comes on and does a transaction for you, which is not standard. And really, you think about that's like a call center function, but they're practicing all of the same types of skills, but just a different modality of delivery. So that one was fun. I also there's one where we've got a sports organization that uses our solution on a tablet where they're actually simulating their proprietary technology and teaching their authenticators and other people and how to make decisions and how to use their systems and solutions completely outside of any sort of customer service or sales or frontline function, right? They're doing a little bit different work. That's another fun one that's just unique in nature. That was a cool use case to add value towards.
Very, very interesting. And Luke, what are some of your differentiators? I mean, I know you've been listing off a lot of great things, but there are some other trainers or simulation training out in the market. What's your differentiator? What makes Zenarate the best?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So, like you said, I said, especially with ChatGPT kind of coming out more, right? There's people that
Yes.
sort of take it, skin it, put a user interface on it, and call it a simulator. Um, you know, there are solutions out there that offer conversation simulation. There are solutions out there that offer sort of software simulation. There are solutions that are video role play platforms. You've got these learning experience platforms that are kind of like aggregators of experiences. And you've got, I'm sure you're familiar with the traditional learning management system that does the e-learnings and the quizzes. All of those
Mhm.
tackle an element of that journey that I taught, that learn, see, do kind of journey. We approach all of those pretty uniquely, so we know we compete really strongly in all of those, and we actually integrate them all together. So you would have to stitch together 5, 6, 7 different solutions um, in some sort of seamless way where they talk to each other and add value to each other. That's our biggest value, right? We're taking practice at the center of what we do. We've now added the ability to deliver these sort of complementary, maybe more traditional, maybe other things, solutions. We can automate quality experiences. We can analyze production information, and then we can automatically upskill people based off of all that information and where their skill gaps are. We can say, hey, Gina, you're struggling with X today. I'm going to deliver you this specific practice that you need, but it's very different than Luke's challenges from last month because his sort of areas of opportunity are much different. That is all something now we've called a learning and performance ecosystem. So from recruitment and sort of pre-hire assessment all the way through the tenure of your talent, we have elements that both optimize the individual and sort of automate the analysis and delivery of a little bit of a new operating model that blends learning and QA and L&D and operations all kind of together.
And I think that is so impactful. And I remember, Luke, when we were first talking about that ability where I'm getting QA'd and my scores are coming in really low in this area. Before I take calls, the next time I log in, I'm going to have my refreshers. So it doesn't go, because sometimes through manual QA processes or even automated that aren't integrated with your learning system, you could go 3 weeks before knowing that Gina's been butchering this
Yeah.
area, right? And you can fix it immediately with Zenarate. I think it's incredible.
Yeah, and you're to add to that, you're manually reviewing those things, which is super expensive and very
Yep.
linear in nature, right? And you're very delayed, like you said. And you're also getting, sometimes I see people that 3 calls per agent per month if you're thinking about a call
Yes.
center, which I'm taking hundreds and hundreds of calls. That's such a tiny population that tells you anything about that person's quality. What if I
Mhm.
can look at all of your interactions, really analyze them exactly how you want, automate that process completely, and then take that information and say, hey, not only can I look at each individual and deliver practice, That's another thing that's different, right? There's solutions out there that they might do some analysis on some things and they say, here's a 30-second video to watch. That's very different than here's practice for that skill that you need to sort of retrain on. We can also take in KPI data and other things and say, hey, Gina, did you know that, employees that have a higher first call resolution KPI performance tend to exhibit stronger skill performance in these three skills? And did you know that, people with better handle time actually have stronger performance in these two or three skills? Well, now that's insight that you've never had before. So you can go back to the L&D team and say, hey guys, train these skills. These move our metrics. We have direct correlation between these skills and our performance over here. And that's where you get this really great harmonious ecosystem. And so that's the true power of Zenarate, is the ability to deliver and analyze sort of that mesh of learning and performance together.
And that's game changing to be able to identify those skills,
Yeah.
right? Like that is absolutely game changing. What's next for Zenarate? I mean, you guys have had a big year, right? Like with the
We
merger and
have.
everything else and getting everything
Yep.
on platform. What does the future look like?
Yeah, I think there's some things I probably can't say yet because
Yeah.
we've got some amazing secret sauce up our sleeves here, but we're definitely focused on finishing the combining of our tech. All right, we want to have one solution, and what's great about that is we've got like this platform and this platform, and we've learned a lot from both. And so the final solution will actually be here, right? We're actually improving and bringing them together at the same time so that all of our customers that exist today will all benefit. And then we've got all the new stuff. Um, we can things like we have the best authoring tools on the market, right, from a simulation perspective, and we're still obsessed with making that better, faster, and easier. So we have tools now that are coming out as we speak where you can automatically create simulations, automatically turn what you just did on your screen into an entire software simulation experience that you can now train for wherever you want. Take a transcript of a call that happened yesterday, drag it into our design tool, and in just a few seconds, it spits out a conversation simulation that's fully mapped to exactly how that works. And you can tweak and refine it with just a few instructions to our bot, basically. That makes it to where in just minutes, right, you go from nothing to I have stuff I can do. I have relevant practice that becomes useful. And the content creation and the simulation creation of that becomes a snap. That's one thing. That's not that's sort of what's here, right?
Yeah.
Um, I guess the last thing I'll say just is the concept of an AI tutor, right? So, I just mentioned all of the ways in which we can interact with talent. And, what if in your Teams thread as a leader, you can go, hey, give me the top three things. I'm about to be in a meeting with my team. Give me the top three areas that they're struggling with. Bang, I have all this information and I can orchestrate that. Or, hey, Gina, this is your AI coach here. I noticed that, you've had struggles with this particular skill lately. Do you have 15 minutes to do a quick update? Yeah, I have 15 minutes. Cool. Watch this video, do this practice, answer these questions, and it actually guides the entire upskilling process in your Teams thread or in your Slack channel or in wherever you're working. So you're sort of taking that learning and simulation out of a platform and making it in the flow of work truly. So things like that becomes remarkably powerful to deliver what we're trying to deliver, which is optimized learning through practice.
Yeah.
Again, even more scalably, even more integrated into the business of our customers.
I can't wait to see it all come together. That's going to be fascinating. To
Yeah.
wrap things up, Luc, I've always been a fan of James Lipton, and so we do a few little rapid fire questions at the
Oh,
end.
amazing. I'm
What
terrified.
is your favorite word?
My favorite word? Um, wow. Um, yes.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
And what excites you the most?
Um, my family, I guess I'm going to take that super, for me, like I do everything this is all amazing. And my family is central to my life. And I live for my wife, my kids, my family. So, I wrap up every day and I get super excited to spend time with my family, and everything I do at Zenarate is to support them. So, absolutely my family.
I love that. And Luc, if somebody wants more information on Zenarate, who should they reach out to?
I'm happy to take any information or take any call outs. Gina, you obviously have done this before, so I would encourage anybody to talk to Gina. Gina knows what we're doing and can really help. Um, I think be a really great assessment tool for you. I know we've been really happy to partner with you in other conversations where you can just add value to our joint customers. So either way, happy to make sure that we can provide whatever insight we need to those that are curious.
Wonderful. Luc, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always such a delight to chat with you, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to speak with us.
It's been my pleasure, Gina. Thanks for having me on here, and we'll chat very soon, I'm sure. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Tech Matchmaker. I hope today's spotlight sparks some fresh ideas and real solutions for your contact center. Want to dive deeper into the tech we featured? Hit up the show notes for all the links and extras, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if there's a challenge you want us to tackle, don't be shy, reach out. I'll catch you soon with more innovation, more use cases, and more ways to keep your business moving forward. Stay curious, stay bold, and keep exploring what's next.